Hello everyone, welcome to Bio Speaks, a platform that shares entrepreneurship journey. My name is Adamu and I am bringing you the first episode of Women's Corner 2.0. And today, we are sharing the story of Dr. Adamu, right? The founder of Secure the Future International Initiative, right? So stay tuned and enjoy this lovely interview. So let's start by getting to know you. So who is Adamu beyond the name? I don't know if I pronounced your name right now.
Yes, Adamu.
Adamu, yeah, all right.
Yes. So once again, thank you so much for having me. Yes, my name is Adamu, and you ask me who is Adamu, I will simply say I'm a woman on a mission to serve. I just see life, as a gift. And I feel like if it's a gift, then we need to take responsibility. I also feel like sometimes people struggle to take responsibility. So if I am on a mission to serve, it means that I have to find a way to get people to heal. I have to find a way to, empower people. I have to find a way to see, those little doors that I can also try and support others to open, So basically that's who I am. I am just, I know I'm compassionate. I'm just a strategic person. I love to change things. I just love to see things differently. So that's who I am.
Awesome. Thanks so much, man, for sharing. So let's talk about your personal and educational background. Can you share a little bit about your background?
Okay, so talking about my background, I'll say that I grew up in, an environment where values, community responsibility and all of that was like a major, and so education was one of the things that my parents didn't, joke about. They feel like that's the only thing that they can, really support their children with. And so of course, I went to my primary school, secondary school. My primary school was in Kaduna. My secondary school was here in Abuja. And then, of course, I had my first degree in Jos. But funny enough, I think my first degree was as a result of how my uncle saw me. Because all the time he comes to the house, he'd be saying, "Oh, that's my presenter. Oh, you look so good on TV," and all of that. And so I think I had that picture too painted in my head, as one that will always want to be behind the camera. But I think that wasn't it. It was someone else's idea. It wasn't my real idea. But then I took it, of course. So my first degree was graphics and motion pictures. I had a diploma in mass communication, and then, so I was done with my first degree and I got a job. And later on in life, I realized my true calling. And I did that while I was working on a particular project. So I had a training consulting firm where we trained individuals like bankers, just corporate world. And figured out that it wasn't about the training. It was about the services that I was giving outside the training, which was talking to people, just listening to what they have to say after the training. But I didn't know that there was something that was happening, to them. I thought it was just, after the training, I loved how you talked or how you presented, I love your skills and all of that. But it was a different thing entirely. Most times I get back home, I see pictures of, today I was able to make my room. It was really nice talking to you. You've changed my perspective. I see life differently. And so I figured out that life was more than, what we thought, which is there has to be balance. As much as we want to see people, do very well in their workplace, something is missing, which is the psychological aspect that most times we forget. We feel like, oh, training, oh, human capital development, oh, we have to give them all the trainings, entrepreneurship, and all of that. But that psychological support wasn't there. And that was what I was giving without knowing, that they were really enjoying it. And so that was how I had to go back to school. I did a PGD in guidance and counseling, master's in guidance and counseling, and my PhD in guidance and counseling. Yes, so my educational background.
Yeah, awesome. That was a lovely background. So let's talk about your career journey, right? So how did it all begin?
So my career journey, to be honest with you, just started with listening. Just listening. This is me running my training, and then I get to meet people that will say to me, "Oh, I couldn't sleep yesterday, and I was just don't know what happened to me." Or someone will come and say, "Oh, I had issues with my relationship, and since then it's been a struggle." Or another person will come and say to me, "Oh, you know what? I just hate the way my mother sees me. She still feels like I'm a child. She's always asking questions." And for me, that was big for me. Like little things that people take for granted, some people struggle with it and even crash, as a result of that. So for me, it was learning, listening, just hearing people talk, giving them a shoulder to cry on, volunteering, willing to give free services pro bono. I wasn't about the money. I was just, okay, come, let me see how I can support you. I was just happy to see people heal. So for me, that was the turning point, and how I started the organization, which is Secure the Future International Initiative. Because the training firm wasn't under the registration of Secure the Future. It was Mesa Legado Limited. But realizing that people needed support, listening to them, giving them a shoulder, supporting them freely and willingly, giving, got me to that point where I said, okay, so there has to be an NGO that can do this. If I really want to support freely, willingly, then I have to also, find a way that I'm not so stressed when I'm doing this. And that was how, the NGO started, which is FDF. So yeah, that's my career story.
All right. So let's talk about, since you've touched your NGO, that's Secure the Future International Initiative, right? So when did you start, right? And how was the beginning like for you?
So I started SDF in 2018. I'll say officially, it was registered in 2018 officially, but I started free bono services about 2017. And when it started, it was interesting because I saw life differently. I could see how people were struggling with different challenges. I could see how that one word that can change an individual's life could also destroy another's. I could see how the little thing called motivation, can be interpreted in different ways. For another person, is when you say something about ways that he can motivate himself, is like you're giving him like a kick to move. For another person, it's like you've put him down completely. So I actually saw things in different lights. And then again, of course, because I was focusing on mental health and counseling, it was another struggle because you could see people, trying to stigmatize. They'll ask you, so why did you choose mental health? Like, what are you doing in that space? It's seen as though it's for, people that are struggling with, madness. They literally use those words, And so they also didn't know that the stigma wasn't about the people. They were also stigmatizing my own career, because that's me now they're talking about. Because if you say to me, why are you in that space? It's only mad people that are there. Then it's like you're also telling me that there's something wrong with me. So I saw a lot of that, a lot of stigmatization. I could also feel the pain of so many families and because they didn't know where to go to, they didn't know who to speak to. And so it was also another struggle. I could see a virgin land that didn't have, I mean, there was no much awareness. We didn't have any mental health policy that could back, the professionals and even the clients or the patients. So it was more or less like you have to find your way in this space. You have to make sure that whatever policy you have, even though it's not legally binded by the law, but you have to find a way to just, fit into the space until, that happens. And so it was a little bit of struggle. When you talk to people about, oh, I'm doing this, can you just support? It's like, oh, what are you doing in the space? Why would you even ask us to support this kind of, activity? I remember, sharing my story with someone, and I said, oh, I really want to start a rehabilitation. He said, no, the way they kill people. Do you know how these people can just wake up one day and stab you? Do you know how these people can just wake up one day and just use anything on you? So that's the idea, that's the perception that people have, and of course, getting into the space, those are the kind of things that you hear every day. So they're kind of discouraging, but no, I just said to myself, this is who I am, this is what I want to do, and I really enjoy seeing people heal, so I'm going to be here. So funding, of course, yes, was a major challenge, and then stigma and no professionals to support the space, because even if you have an organization and then the manpower isn't there, people don't really know what to do, it's also another struggle. So yeah, there were a bit of challenges, but I'll tell you the most interesting part is, for me, I just love to be in a space where I can make a difference, right? So when I say I can make a difference, is looking at my opportunities and strategically making sure that I do what is right in that little space, the space that people feel it's kind of difficult and maybe nothing might really come out of it. But to be honest with you, it's been amazing, I'll say.
Yeah, definitely, so amazing. So speaking about people coming to you, so how did you build, with trust and comfort? A lot of people are always, scared to reach out about their issues and all that. So how did you build that trust and comfort?
Yes, so first I needed to do something. When we started SDF, I knew that it was going to be difficult for people to just walk into the space and say, I'm going to see a therapist, I'm going to see a counselor, I'm going to see a mental health professional, because of stigma and victimization. So the first thing I did was to make sure that the counseling space was not in an environment where people would walk in and there'll be any suspicion or something around that. I needed to protect my client first. So what we did was to get a facility that was in like a space, like an estate. Okay, so like you drive into the space and you won't even know who you're coming to see or what's happening there. That was how we started. So that's for one, just to get them to that point where they can trust us and come into the space anytime. Two was to make sure that for every time anyone comes, listening is more than the word listening. Is a skill, and you have to learn it, because that's the only thing again that gives people the how would I put it now, the calmness to want to come back to you. So what I also did was to get them to know that I am there for them. So I was always available to listen. I remember one of my clients one time, we had a session, and of course she's been going to a psychiatric hospital for years, for about 6 years before she met me. And when she met me, the first thing I did was, okay, tell me your story. I want to know you. I want to know your experience. I want to know the medications you're taking. I want to know everything. Let's see. Let's build a rapport. And when we started having the conversation, she realized that I wasn't saying much, but I was listening to her. And after the session, she said to me, we had a session for 3 hours, and she said to me, it's the first time anybody's listening to me for 3 hours. The first time. I've been going to the hospital for 6 years, but nobody has listened to me for 3 hours. And I want to really say thank you. So those are the kind of things that you do to just build that trust, give people the opportunity to come to you. And of course, give them that support to know that whatever it's been discussed with them definitely is confidential, because nobody wants to come and tell you anything and then later on they get to hear it outside. So it means that you have to find a way to get them to believe that whatever they're going to discuss with you is confidential. I also remember I had a client one time, a traffic survivor. And my first time with her, she asked me a question. She said, "Are you sure that whatever we're going to discuss today is confidential? Because I've been talking about this and it's like it's everywhere. So I want to know if I can trust you to have this conversation with you." And I said, "Yes." And so we had that conversation, and it was also a good one. So yes, making sure that you build rapport, giving them the opportunity where they believe that, the space is quite safe. But most importantly, getting them to know that it's not about the space, but you who is listening to them is a safe space for them. So that was what, I had to do.
All right. So I know you've highlighted a lot of experiences, but I want to know your first experience, right? What was your first experience when you started, and what was the ending process?
Okay. So my first experience was meeting a young person who I think was 23 then, who was struggling with multiple personality disorder. And it was like a dual, so an individual that's sitting in front of you, but what the person is telling you is totally different from what you've been hearing. Let me just give an example. So the person who's sitting in front of me is, maybe the name is whatever. But then the person talking to me tells me that that's not the name. It's a different name. So that person builds a different personality in their head. And then speaking to you is another personality in front of you. So for me, that was like a whole lot, because I was asking myself, how do I do this? How do I even get this person to heal? Where do I start from? Because it's quite technical. What do I do? Am I supposed to refer for medications? Am I just supposed to do the therapy, or do I run, an assessment and all of that? And so we had a session for, I think, about 3 months, and the person started coming out gradually, until individuals got to a point where they took a decision about what life you wanted. So is it the one that people see, or is the one that you've imagined in your head? And the individual just took up a particular life that they wanted to project out there, and we started working with that, and the person is doing extremely well now. When I say extremely, the person is doing extremely well, and I'm grateful God for that.
Yeah, amazing, awesome. All right. So speaking about the misconceptions about mental health, I know you've spoken about it when you wanted to start. There were lots of maybe rejections or doubts about it, and you started, you believe that it's something you want to do. So what are some of the misconceptions, and what gap, are you willing to fill, or what space are you willing to fill in the mental health sector?
Yeah, so for me, the space that I really want to fill in the mental health sector is to get individuals to know that mental health can affect anybody. So it's not about, saying, "Oh, I have this amount of money in my account. Oh, I've been through a lot in life. Oh, this has happened." It can affect anybody. And so if it's something that can affect anybody, it means that we all have to play a key role, right? So for me, it's to try and see how we can get to a point where at least there'll be certain policies and changes, so that it can benefit the professionals and even the lived experience people, or the ones that are still, struggling and, in between. When we have a policy, I'm sure that can support. So one of the things that I'll always say, that I've also played a key role in, is making sure that the mental health policy is, being assented, because I remember in 2019, we, kept on pushing, had a couple of stakeholders engagements and all of that. And yeah, to God be the glory, that has been, it's been assented. One of the things that I look forward to is also seeing that the states also are able to adopt the existing mental health policy so that people will really benefit. I feel that if we do that, then we would at some point be normalizing the conversation, and nobody will begin to see it as though it's something that, they don't want to be associated with or not feeling victimized. So if we're able to get to a point where the states, see this as something that should also they should also pass, in the legislative, then obviously I know that we'll be getting somewhere. So for me, I just want to see where mental health conversations, to be honest with you, is normalized. I want to see where there's that point where the government understands that as much as normal physical health conditions are enjoying insurance, mental health conditions should also enjoy insurance. So for me, that's what I really would love to see in the nearest future. I just hope that this happens, if at all. That's what I want to see in the States.
Oh, okay. All right. So do you have, is there a partnership with government, where government come in, or do you have, partnership with hospitals, where they get to refer the patient to you and all?
Yeah. Yes, so we have a partnership with the government. We work closely with Ministry of Youth, Ministry of Health, Secondary Education Board, and of course a lot of other agencies in Nigeria. And we partner with other hospitals, Tanklin, FMC. Now we partner with a couple of organizations, hospitals as well, where we share, experiences, or we share, support, or we make referrals, just to see that our patients are well cared for. And then we also believe that not only partnering with government and hospitals would do almost all that we want, but also collaborating with other NGOs and organizations to see that we're able to get mental health conversations in the workplace, because it's not just getting them to enjoy the insurance in the hospital, but also making the spaces where they go to every day habitable, good enough for them, warming. So we try to create awareness and have collaborations with organizations, and then run some trainings for them so that they understand the basic and they're able to also support people in their spaces. So yes, we have collaborations and partnerships with different organizations, CSOs, associations, government organizations, and hospitals.
Okay, awesome. So you mentioned awareness, right? A lot of people majorly when they are maybe depressed or down, or maybe they're having mental health challenges, they don't get to voice out. So how do you encourage people, parents, the society at large to to voice out, or to go to any nearest NGO therapist to speak about their problems for healing?
Okay, so I feel like it's important, for us to, even as a nation, to normalize the conversation, to make it feel like just the way you can walk into the hospital and see a gynecologist, and see a dentist. It's okay to walk in and also see a clinical psychologist. We must get to that point where we normalize this conversation. Until we do that, it'll be a struggle. And so how do we do that? We need to, run trainings in different organizations, in schools, in communities, in churches, mosques, everywhere we find ourselves, so that people understand mainly what it means when they say mental health. So they're not running away from, it's a big word. When you say mental health, it's like someone on the street. No, we have to get to the point where we break it down into different topics, and as tiny as it can be, so people understand that, just not waking up on the right side of the bed can lead to mental health issues, because if you're having outbursts, if you're irritable just like that, it might be as a result of something, and that's mental health issues. Now, what is mental health? It's important for us to get to a point where we can simplify it to the point where people understand that mental health is how we think, how we feel, and how we act. And all of us are driven by these three keywords. That's our life. We can't do anything without thinking, feeling, and acting. So that's mental health. Mental health is not seeing somebody on the road that is not well kept and all of that. That's not it. That is mental illness. So until we understand that mental health is everyone's responsibility, is everyone's business, we won't support people to come out and really talk about their experiences, share experiences. And it is also important for us to get to that point where we promote people that share their stories. If someone shares his story, why should we stigmatize? Why should we say, oh, did you watch that movie? That person that was no, that's the person sharing his experience. And when you share experience, it gives people the opportunity to also come out and say, wow, I'm not alone. So I can actually also, share my experience. So it's important for us to give them the opportunity to really come out and share their experience, knowing that they are safe, knowing that, that word confidentiality is there, knowing that the society sees it as nothing, knowing that, you can work in anywhere. I mean, nobody is going to say that person that used to work there, don't employ him here because he has this. Until we normalize the conversation, a lot of people will not come out to speak or seek for help, But when we amplify the voices of people that have, been going through this or have, experienced this in some form, then we'll be doing ourselves well. And we'll have a society where, everybody is just talking about it as though it's just one, headache or malaria or something. So I feel like we just have a lot to do. And until we do that, we'll still have a lot of people not talking about it. But I believe that, yes, we're getting there because the awareness is out there and a lot of people are beginning to, talk about it.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so let's talk about empathy, right? So how do you balance empathy with your professionalism when working with a client facing deep emotional and psychological pain?
Okay, so it's important to understand that one of the things that we're taught is, as professionals, we must always listen to people as though it is us, that have experienced such a thing. It means that you must try to always wear the shoes of others. Otherwise, you won't even understand why they're doing the things they do. Because empathy will get you to that point where you're not judging the person. You're saying it's okay to say it the way it is. No matter how confused, you're struggling, you feel like it's not something you want people to hear, I will not judge you. I'm willing to listen to you. So empathy gets us to that point where you're not judging, but you're listening because you're wearing the person's shoes. Now, empathy gets you to that point where you're saying, I'm going to walk with you through this journey. I am willing to go through this process with you. I have your hands right beside mine and I'm going with you on this journey. All right. So it just helps them understand that, oh, wow, someone really understands me. Oh, wow. I'm not being judged just like others feel when I share my experience. Oh, wow. Oh, this person is always available to listen, always available to, support me, always available to pick up my calls, whenever. Oh, wow. This person understands what it means to give me a hug. Oh, wow. This person understands the importance of just listening to me for hours, So it's just important that we understand that the difference between empathy and sympathy is saying that, oh, with empathy, I'm walking this journey with you. I'm wearing your shoes. I understand it. I'm not judging you. I want to go through this with you. And then sympathy is saying, oh, I understand what you're going through, but, I have limits to what I can do. I'm sorry, but, yeah, I wish you all the best, something like that. But empathy is saying, I will go with you. I know it's a hard one. I know it's difficult, but I'm willing to stick my neck and, go with you and see how this works.
All right, so still on empathy, right? So what does mentorship mean to you in the context of healing and personal development?
So mentorship for me, I will say that is everything, to be honest. Like I said earlier, I getting into this space, I didn't have anybody that I could talk to around mental health issues, or getting to that point where they just understand that, oh, this is her dream, this is what she wants to do, let's see how we can support her. I had to find myself, I had to look for ways to support myself. I had to create documents, policies that would guide me. I had to work alone, and just see how I could build. All I did was look for like minds, that were also struggling just like me, and we were just, trying to support each other. So I believe that mentorship gives an individual a perspective. It gives an individual a clearer path. It gives an individual that opportunity to understand the right path, focus. It gives an individual the opportunity to make mistakes and run back and say, I've just done this, but I don't know what to think about it, or I feel I didn't get it right because X, Y, that happened. And then you go back to the drawing board and start all over again. So mentorship for me is like key, because it helps an individual to really restructure. It helps an individual to understand strategic plan. It helps an individual to understand structure. It helps an individual to understand the core objectives and goals which that individual is pursuing. It just helps an individual to reshaping whatever it is they might have planned before. I want to give an example. Someone called me yesterday and she said to me, Ma, I love what you do. After working with you, I had a project last year and we worked together. And she said, after that experience, I feel like there's this thing that I've been, nurturing, and I really would love to start. And I asked her, I said, okay, I need you, before we start anything, before we go further, before I speak to you, can you give me 5 things? And she said, what? I said, go and give me your mission, vision, your objective, your core values, and your goals. And she said, I don't have them. I said, well, go and get them. What do you want to work on? And she mentioned it. I said, okay, use that as a base to come up with these 5 things that I've just mentioned, and then we can start the conversation. So mentorship just gives you that guiding, it gives you that place to not struggle. You're not struggling, you're not looking for documents. I know how many people have, shared the counseling practitioners council act with. I know how many people have shared the mental health act with. Now, this is just to say that I didn't have anybody that shared that with me. So I had to struggle, look for, ways to survive in this space all by myself. So if there are people that are already in that space and that they're doing extremely well or know what they're doing, why not? Because it makes your work so easy. If I share a document, if I share the CPCN document or the Mental Health Act document with someone, it makes the person's life easy. It gives you a direction. You understand that there's a law that protects or guides or can even be against you when you do things, So it's important for us to understand that mentorship is just something that we need to promote. We need to give people the opportunity to enjoy that, so that they're not struggling, they're not making mistakes, they're not taking the wrong decisions, they're not failing, regularly, but also working in the right path and, seeing the importance of also building themselves, because they now know that it's an assignment. Because as a mentor, you already know that once you mentor someone, that other mentee is looking forward to also become a mentor at some point. But until we teach that, it might be difficult. But for me, to be honest with you, mentorship is one of my major skills, and I love it.
Yeah. So speaking about mentees, right? So how do you ensure that your mentees not only survive trauma but learn to strive beyond it?
Yeah, so it's important if you have for me, how I work with my mentees. I try as much as possible to get them to that point where they understand that there are basic things that we need to do, right? So as your mentor, there are certain things I expect you to tell me, okay? So that I am also supportive in every angle. Outside work, can we also talk about a little bit of personal issues where I'm also able to help you go through the process? Because I have also seen that in the space, a lot of people use their stories to want to quickly maybe support others while still struggling with the trauma. So for me, I always say it's important to go through the process, which is healing, and then use that as a base to also support others, and you just can't get into the space because something has happened to you, and so you want to tell your story. You want knowing that boundaries, even as a mentee or a mentor, so that you're not thinking that you are the almighty, like you have to do everything. No, there are boundaries. It's also important for you as a mentor or a mentee to know that there are certain things that you also would have to try and get your mentee to understand, which is I have my limit, I have what I can do with you, I have my timing, I have my space, I can only give what I can. If I can't, I'll definitely support you in different ways, which is making sure that every aspect that you want me to be a part of, I'm willing to go on the journey with you. So I always give my mentees the opportunity to be open, like just tell me everything about you. Let's see how we can work together. Let's see what area I feel you really need support, and let's see how that can really get you to that point where you are doing well. I also try to remind my mentees that we have to leverage on every opportunity that we have. So they also need to know that they can't do everything. They need some level of collaborations, partnerships, and support. So don't say because I am an expert in this, but you have to understand sustainability. You have to understand how to move with whatever it is that you have in your space. So just teaching them the basics. But ultimately, I'll tell you, whatever I'm doing with my mentee, I always like to put the strategic plan session. It's important to me because with that, we're able to deal with every aspect and see how I can support them, and then also get some answers from them and see how they can, run with that.
Yeah, awesome. So how do you stay motivated during tough period?
How do I stay motivated is when, I get to maybe remember that I have so many people out there that are doing well as a result of me being a part of their journey. On Sunday, I got a call from one of my mentees, and to be honest with you, when she came to me, the story was like, what am I hearing? Like, how can I deal with this? But on Sunday when she called me, it's like, when you have like a different design entirely about your life. That was what happened to this lady. And I was so excited to hear that. So for me, such things motivate me. When I hear people call me to tell me, oh, I'm doing extremely well, or when I read their text messages, or when I just see them, doing well and, healing has taken place, I'm excited. When I see someone who struggled with drug use for so long and the person is doing extremely well, I'm happy, I'm motivated, I want to do more. I just want to see that, there's so many people out there that are lifted. So for me, seeing people heal is my major motivation, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. I can actually relate to as well. All right. So let's talk about your leadership style.
Mhm.
What's your leadership style?
So I say I am quite flexible. I will call myself a laissez-faire leadership person because I feel like being authoritative will not give me what I want, but giving people the opportunity to come to me, to share their experiences, to laugh with me, to play with me, you understand, to go on certain things that are unimaginable. It's better for me. I just love when when I see my staff all around me, when I just love it when we're able to share food together. I love it when we discuss deep things. That's me. But when it's time to work, it's time to work. So I love to play, but then again, they know when it's time to work. That's me. So I'm just a very flexible leader who just wants to, get everybody in her space. And to be honest with you, it's not like I have to put in my head to say I want to be that leader that is not too hard or not authoritative and all of that. I didn't put it in my head, but that's just the style that I see working for me. because every evening before I leave my office, I realize that all my staff will walk out with me, all of them, almost all of them, to be honest with you. And it's like, would have another 5-10 minutes outside before I get into the car. So for me, it's like, it's amazing. And there are days when I'm so like not in the right frame of mind, and I'm very, what's the right word to use, when I'm just not so happy. They know it, you understand. They try to, want to come. Oh ma, can we take a picture? Oh ma, can we do this for you? Oh ma, so you can see that they're also trying to see that I am, I get to that point where I smile or I do whatever. But yes, I just love to be around everybody. I don't think that, setting some kind of rules and being too hard is the best style for me. I just want to be flexible. So yeah, that's my leadership style.
All right. So let's talk about gender equality just for a bit, right? So are you of this school of thought that what a man can do, a man can do better, or you're just all about balancing?
I think we need to balance. Yes, what a man can do, a woman can do. So when they say better, it's just the same as far as I'm concerned. But I believe that if we're able to balance it, then everyone will be happy. If we're not struggling with, having to be the one in the space or doing this, or balancing for me is okay. You can do it, I can do it. Then let's do it together.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about some of the recognitions. I know you have a lot of recognitions, but can you share a little bit about, some of the recognitions you've collected, awards, and all that?
Interesting. So I have so many awards, to be honest. I don't even know where to start from. I'll say my most recent. So let me just talk about my most recent, right? So my most recent award is the Community Heroes, the Canadian Global Award, and another award that I think is maybe recent was the one from the, I think it's Nigerian Army. Oh yeah, it's Nigerian Army. Armed forces, not Nigerian Army. So it's a mix of all the military space. I got that I think sometime last month. I am also awarded as 100 most notable women in Africa. I've got so many awards, to be honest. If I don't have awards, I think I have about 42 to 50 awards. If I don't. So I have a lot and I can't start mentioning all.
Wow, that's actually a lot. Yeah, so let's talk about the society, right, before we get the curtain, right? So if you could change one thing about how society values public health, child right or education, what would it be?
Honestly, what I would do if I'm given so much opportunity is to see how we can review most of these policies, but most importantly implement, because it's not about reviewing the policies that we have, is implementing them, because we have so many fantastic policies but not active. So implementing those policies, I think, would really change a lot of things, because until something is active, until something is working, nobody will, see it as though it's important. And until we also promote, the importance of change, starting with an individual, it might just be difficult, to get anything. So yeah, those are the two major things I'll focus on, which is creating awareness, on getting people to understand the importance of change and how it starts from you, and then making sure that most of the policies that we have are implemented.
All right. So, what do you want, young mental health professional to take away or to learn from your journey?
Oh, so what I want them to learn or take away from my journey is perseverance. Because I will tell you that it wasn't an easy journey starting. It was a whole lot. I had to find myself, I had to find my way, I had to look for the funding myself, I had to just stay resilient, I had to keep learning coping skills, I had to tell myself patience, have to build everything from the scratch. So I'll say perseverance. If you're there and consistent, definitely you will win.
Okay. All right. So do you have a daily, mantra, motivational quote that keeps you going daily, weekly, monthly, yearly?
So for me, daily, what I say to myself is, I know I can. I will do it, regardless of how tough or difficult it is. That's what I say to myself. When I leave my house in the morning, I have a song that I love to play every day, and I play it. So it's like like my energy booster every morning. Once I play that song, I feel good about it. I open my daily planner. I go through the things that I have to do because I write down the things that I need to do for the week. Then I check my daily activity, go through that. And I just tell myself, yes, you can do it, regardless. I know you will. And that's me.
Awesome. So I don't know if you can, share a little bit about the music you play because you need to know, where the energy is coming from.
So I love this song by is a Nigerian gospel artist, and the song is titled Tare, Tarre. Yeah, yes. So it just talks about you and God, is your moment, something like that, and it's like a booster to me. It just gives me that. It starts my day for me, and it kickstarts everything. So that's the song.
All right. Now, speaking about God, we're about to join the curtain, right? Since you
Yeah.
mentioned God. Now, so how does spirituality fuels business?
For me, I just believe that it's just important to, regardless of what you do, life is a mystery, right? So it means that something is controlling something, and something is controlling someone. So be it God, whatever it is, you have to always reverence that person, so that so that you feel like you're in the right spot. So I don't speak that, in the faces of my clients. I don't speak my religion or, spiritual life or whatever it is in the faces of my clients, because remember, the focus is healing and it's not about me. But to be honest with you, behind, it's one of the things that I love to do. I just love to be in that quiet moment with God. I enjoy it. It's what gives me strength as well. Yeah, of course, I couldn't have been here without God. So for me, it's everything. Yeah, but I don't put it in the faces of my clients like it's off. They're two different
Okay.
things. One
Yeah.
different. Yeah, that's it.
All right. So finally, if your brand could speak, what story would it tell you about you, and what legacy do you have to leave behind?
If my brand could speak, I think one of the things my brand will say is thank you for giving so many souls the opportunity to live again. I think that's what my brand will say.
Okay. So what legacy, are you willing to leave behind?
Um, you know, the legacy of um being, yeah, continuity, healing. Let it just continue. Let it be that with or without me, there's that opportunity where people can go into that space and find solace and heal and rediscover themselves and fully be active. That's what I want to leave. A place where people can find healing.
All right. Thank you so much, Ma, for sharing. So we've come to the end of this interview sections, and I believe, our audience will learn from your expertise.
Thank you so much.
Yes, so we've come to the end of today's episode of Women's Corner 2.0. We hope you've learned from our shared experience, right? So as you all know, Women's Corner magazine is also out, and you can also get your copy too as well. and get motivated, start small and grow big, right? And if you also want to share your story, you can reach out to us via our email. Like, subscribe to our channel. Thank you, and stay safe.